What a short squeeze. Bitcoin is now back above $116,000, and a lot of people are now wondering if this is it and we are going much, much higher from here. Has Uptober started? In today's video, we'll be talking about exactly this, going over the most recent Bitcoin price action, and of course, I'll be taking you through some of the trades that I've been showing you on the channel for the past couple days and weeks, which have continued to hold. If you enjoy the content, make sure to smash that like button and subscribe. Without further ado, let's jump right into the video. Let's kick us off with Bitcoin as we normally do. You can see that we are now back above $116,000. I was not anticipating this move, but to be perfectly clear, it still does not invalidate what we've been talking about on the channel, at least quite yet. Now, I wanted to give you an update on my current trade setups to show you why it's super important to continuously take profits on positions. You can see here that my Bitcoin short, which I've been showing you time and time again, is still technically open. We haven't hit my stop loss at break even quite yet, and this is why I'm a huge advocate for continuing to take profits in this market. Whether you're going long or short, you always want to take profits on your positions. And I hate to talk about this when the price action goes against this current short, but it's just the reality of things. Most people won't want to hear this, but this is how you play this market. I'm relatively stress-free because I secured most of the gains from this trade, and if we go ahead and roll over from here, well, I am still in an excellent position. And to be perfectly clear, what we've talked about on the channel is that we will go up, down, up. Now, my anticipation here was that 108.5K was not the low, and we would likely tag $107,000. Has this been invalidated? I am not ready to give up on this thesis quite yet. If we start to comfortably reclaim $118,000, it's at that point in time where I will come on the channel and say, guys, 107K likely won't be tapped into. But until then, despite the fact that this was a pretty big move to the upside, I am still favoring a little bit of a move downwards. The US government shut down today, and typically we get a pump followed by a dump afterwards. But the key thing to note is that we are much, much higher a month or two later. During the last two shutdowns, Bitcoin pumped first and then dropped sharply. So you can see that in these past two scenarios, Bitcoin got a drop after the initial pump. And I actually think that there is a chance here that Bitcoin can still go and revisit the lows. At the current moment, I am still sticking with my thesis, despite the fact that we got a pretty large move to the upside here. Now, during this move, I'm seeing a lot of people pile into longs and getting extremely bullish. I'm still operating with a little bit of caution, but to be perfectly clear, and as I've shared in my Telegram community, how I operate in this market gives me exposure to the upside while minimizing my downside risk. So to repeat myself, I hold Bitcoin and I hold Ethereum. And if you've been watching me, you know exactly how I'm navigating in terms of trading portfolio and spot portfolio. So my spot portfolio is 5 times the size of my trading portfolio. This way, whatever happens with my trading portfolio, I am perfectly content because I have way more exposure to the market with my spot portfolio. And typically, as a rule of thumb, I would recommend to have your spot portfolio at least 2 to 3 times the size of your trading portfolio. That way, anything that happens with your trading portfolio, you are perfectly fine with your exposure to the market. But right now, you can see that Bitcoin is just continuing to crawl up. We got a pretty big move here, but I'm not willing to call it quits quite yet unless we start to reclaim this higher region, which of course is that point of control that we initially rejected from, and this is where I went ahead and entered my most recent Bitcoin short. You can see that if we move just a few $100s, my stop loss at break even will be triggered, and I will start to look for new trades in this market. And in the meantime, the Bitcoin dominance long, which I've shared on the channel as well, is still in some significant profits, and this has not changed whatsoever. As I've said in my previous videos, if Bitcoin rips higher from here, Bitcoin dominance will likely continue to increase. If Bitcoin dumps from here, Bitcoin dominance will likely continue to increase. October is one of the most bullish months for Bitcoin dominance, and so I'm still expecting it to continue to climb higher before we have the reversal. That being said, I wanted to show you this chart because it does exemplify exactly what I think could be happening with Bitcoin dominance. That is, we got the move down, now we're gonna get a pump, maybe we don't go ahead and reclaim these highs and we make a little bit of a lower high, perhaps above 62% Bitcoin dominance, which I've been advocating for, 63, 64, and then we go ahead and drop downwards. I wouldn't necessarily call this the first wave of altcoin season because naturally most altcoins are still struggling on their US dollar valuation, despite the fact that we saw Bitcoin dominance continue to drop during this period. I still think that Bitcoin dominance will move up from here. I'm standing firm on that. Now, in terms of Bitcoin, 116.4K, what can you do? Let's see what happens here. It would still seem, in my opinion, quite odd for Bitcoin to not go ahead and revisit these lows, and we didn't manage to tap into them after having a few days here of sitting right between 108.5K all the way up to 109.5K. Then we got the big move. Let's see what happens here. If a lot of people start piling into longs, which we can see is starting to happen, especially on the 7-day time frame, there is way more cumulative long liquidation leverage in the market compared to cumulative short liquidation leverage in the market, then at that point in time, maybe the reversal will start then, but we want to make sure that we have confluence on the chart. Because if I am proven wrong here and we start to reclaim higher levels, it's time to start looking for longs, in my opinion. I will make sure to keep you updated, and of course, you get quicker insights if you're in my free premium Telegram group. That being said, it really doesn't matter. We just make profits along the way, whether that's longing, whether that's shorting, I am positioned accordingly. Now, if we take a look at the 30-day time frame here, you can see that now officially there is more cumulative long liquidation leverage in the market, but it doesn't exceed it that much. And so I would be waiting to see if we have way more people start piling into longs. I'm still leaning towards this move, not sending us to all-time highs quite yet. Now, I also wanted to touch on the Bitcoin spot ETFs. You can see that we're getting some pretty significant inflows after having a strong period of outflows. And with Ethereum, paints the same picture. We had significant outflows, and these past 2 days, we've seen some nice inflows. And it's funny to see that right before the US government shuts down, Jim Cramer comes out and says that investors should not be worried about that given shutdown. Now, he also called for crypto moving higher a few days ago when we were actually lower, so maybe he is no longer a reverse signal. And the other thing to consider here, Metaplanet did buy another 5,268 Bitcoins worth around $600 million, and they now hold just under 31,000 Bitcoins worth approximately $3.5 billion. And Donald Trump Jr. did come out and say that crypto will preserve the US dollar dominance. This is what Trump is all about. He wants crypto to be used as a tool to preserve the US dollar. And so if he can manage to do that, our bags are likely moving much, much higher. But I want to see how this plays out right now. I'm still not in any aggressive long positions. Do I wish I could have entered a cheeky little long here and took some profits where we are now? Of course. But that's how trading works. And just a quick note on the government shutdown as we wrap up this video, this means that we likely won't be getting the ISM manufacturing PMI data, nor would we get the initial jobless claims, continuing jobless claims, non-farm payrolls, and the unemployment rate, which was supposed to come out this week. So if we don't get this data, it could cause a little bit of market uncertainty. But you can see that for now, we did get a pretty significant move to the upside. Let's see how it plays out. Will history repeat, and will we get that pump and dump? Or can Bitcoin reclaim $118,000 and send us much higher? At this point in time, as I've shared, you can see that my Bitcoin short is about to hit my stop loss at break even after securing some nice profits. So we have to see how this one will play out. Remember, if you want to join my free trading group, you do have that first link in my description down below. You DM me the word premium on Telegram and I would be happy to onboard you into my free trading group. I post all of my own signals and these are essentially my own personal trade setups. The thing with these setups is that you can hold the position for a little bit longer because I am more of a swing trader. So if that interests you, you have that first link in my description down below. And that sums up today's video. Bitcoin got a sizable pump above $116,000, but from a trading perspective, I am still sitting on my hands and letting the market do its thing before I decide to go ahead and enter. Now, from a spot portfolio's perspective, I am still heavily allocated and I will be looking to offload some of my profits as Bitcoin makes a brand new all-time high and as Ethereum also makes a brand new all-time high. I will make sure to keep you updated as I start selling some of my spot bag, but for now, I just want to see what the price action gives us. I still think that there's a decent probability that we can move lower and tap into those lows, even though right now it may not seem like it. If you enjoyed the content, make sure to smash that like button and subscribe, and I'll see you in tomorrow's video.